Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, SirSam28 here bringing you some World of Warships closed beta action. In this match, we're going to go ahead and sail in our Japanese Tier 5 battleship, the Kongo. This match is just to highlight some of the tactics that you can use in the Kongo, and more specifically in any battleship in the game. Taking a look at the tier list, you saw briefly there, pretty heavy battleship contingent for both teams, so I'm hoping to see some battleship on battleship action. Now, I've already kind of made up my mind by looking at the tactical map to head out towards the open water, towards A, head in that direction. So as I'm turning, I go ahead and train my guns off to my starboard side. And what you can do is press Control X to lock your guns to where the cursor is pointing, and that's a relative thing. So you can see where it says armament weapons fixed on relative bearing. That means that the guns will stay pointing at that relative to wherever your ship is. So they'll not rotate, but they'll stay in a direction that you point. Now, if you press Shift X, you can fix your weapons on a sector, which means that, like, say I wanted to like keep my guns pointing at the tip of that little island there as my ship maneuvered, I could actually press Shift X, and my guns would stay trained on that specific spot even as my ship turned. They would rotate automatically to keep focusing that point. But I usually just use Control X just to keep them locked to one side. You can kind of do the same thing if you hold right-click and look around. You know, once you get the cursor to where you want your guns to be pointing. But it's just a lot easier just to lock them in with Control X. That way you don't have to be holding right-click down the entire time you're looking around. Now, what you want to make sure to do before you engage is hit X to release your guns, so they'll start following the cursor again, so you can you know, establish proper lead, proper range, and all that jazz. But especially for the bigger ships where it takes a while for the guns to swing around, you want to definitely make sure that you're pre-aiming where you expect the enemies to be, so you can start getting shots off right away as soon as you see them. Now, in a battleship, what you generally want to do is kind of hang out towards the rearward area and really put your range to work. The Kongo, I have it fully upgraded here, fully upgraded guns, fully upgraded fire control. Can shoot over 20 kilometers. So there's really no reason for me to go rushing straight down the middle and, you know, close that distance. So you see our first, getting our first blips here, first targets popping up. And also in a battleship, what you want to really be doing is making sure that you've got ships in front of you. Just screen destroyers, screen any cruisers that have torpedoes, and screen aircraft away from you. Unfortunately, the team kind of didn't wait for me to catch up to them. So I'm a little bit vulnerable to aircraft, but I'm not that worried about it in the Kongo, because it is so fast and so maneuverable that I have a feeling that I can avoid aircraft. Now, I am shooting HE. This is partially because at this range, at the ranges that I was expecting to be shooting,
the enemy team is
at the
taking
beginning,
the lead.
I wasn't expecting a great accuracy, so if I get a shell hit and get a fire right away, cause them to blow their repair, that's more worth it to me than hoping I get a plunging citadel hit at that range where the guns are just topsy-turvy. Now I do something a little bit uncharacteristic here. Instead of continuing off into the 1 and 2 line, into the open water, I see this battleship kind of churning and cutting in. And I take a look, and he is a lower tier battleship than me. So I'm pretty confident that I can take this guy without too much trouble. So I go ahead and actually turn in. I scan, I look around. I can see that this is a cruiser in front of me, so there's no way for me to be ambushed around this corner by a destroyer. And that was a key in factoring in my decision to actually turn into this narrow area here. Scan the sky for airplanes. Don't see any torpedo bombers incoming, so that's not a problem. So then I go ahead and start opening up on this poor gentleman here. Fire a salvo of HE. Do catch him on fire. Do cause him to blow his repair. And then go ahead and switch over to the AP and gotta give him what's for. Now, it looks like he's turning into me, so he's actually crossing his own T. And unfortunately, this has become a 1-on-2, but I'm still not that worried about it, because I can kill this guy pretty fast. And he's close enough that my secondaries are starting to open up. Now, his secondaries are opening up too, but again, I'm a higher tier. I have a lot more guns than him, so I'm not that worried about it. he's continuing to close in. So I'll go ahead and swing. I don't want to let him ram me, because that would just be good for him and bad for me. I'm going to win the gunfight, so if he gets the ram off and does, you know, 30,000, 40,000 damage with a ram, that's something I don't want to happen. And you can kind of see even the inaccuracy there, even at that short range. Those two shells just dove into the water. And now this guy's kind of screwed. He wasn't paying attention to where he was maneuvering, and he is kind of, you know, he's running himself around, so now he's got to back up very slowly. Unfortunately, I also have to kind of turn around, which means that even though my rear turrets can still be tracking, my front turrets will have to swing that full 180 degrees, actually more than 180 degrees to get back on target. So for a while, I'm just going to be shooting 4 shells at him. But he's down to very low health, so hopefully we're able to take him out. And you can see doing big damage there. This guy's almost gone, and very shortly, before I have a chance to reload, I believe, he's going to be gone. Just constantly scanning around, making sure that, you know, I'm not in the best place, but I'm not in the worst place either. I am being engaged by 2 sides by battleships, but no destroyer threat until really right now. That destroyer is coming in, and, you know, he's the primary target. That's why you see me taking shots at him. Probably not going to hit him. Does hit the deck, but I'm able to get around that headland and out of his torpedo line of sight. So now, again, unfortunately, I think my best course of action is to go ahead and engage this battleship and this cruiser. Again, on my starboard side. My turrets are going to have to swing around once more. It's not a full 180 degrees, but it's still going to take a little bit of time for them to get over there. But not too bad. And you can kind of see that they're already on target, and that's just make sure that you really point your cursor where you want to be shooting before you start your turns. Just, you know, to get the cursor, or to get your turrets pointed where you want to be. And as a battleship, what you want to be doing is engaging the enemy battleships when you can, when you have the chance. And you can kind of see me constantly looking back.
We destroyed an enemy battleship.
Making sure that, you know, I was going to clear those torpedoes, making sure nothing's sneaking up, and now we've got a battleship covering that little harbor where that destroyer once was. And back to the battleship I was shooting at, 1 salvo is enough to take him down. He was on pretty low health, but that's just the power of the battleship guns. If you're able to, you know, hit those critical areas, you just do bunches and bunches of damage. So I'm going to go ahead and fire a salvo at that cruiser who was grounded, and go ahead and point my guns at this battleship. I don't think he's going to survive. Nope, I don't get to shoot at him. You can see, so the cruiser presented a target of opportunity. That's why I took the shots at him, and then I immediately, instead of staying focused on the cruiser, immediately focused on the enemy battleship that I could see. Because again, that's what you want to. You want to be shooting at enemy battleships first, and then you want to be shooting at cruisers, and then you want to be shooting at destroyers, and aircraft carriers if you can, and if it's clear, and if you're not engaging any other surface vessel. Because as a battleship, it's your job to sink the enemy battleships. And if you look at the team there, each team started with 4 battleships. All 4 of their battleships are dead, and all 4 of our battleships are still alive. So I am very confident in this game. Now, unfortunately, this cruiser, this St. Louis, has crossed my T. So I'm eating just, you know, a bunch of shots from him, and I'm only able to shoot at him with 4 shells. But the good thing is, and kind of have to do a little defensive maneuvering to avoid this battleship. I thought he was going to turn harder right as he came across, but apparently he wanted to cut across this channel. Kind of both of our faults there. We should have both been paying more attention. But the Kongo's fast enough and maneuverable enough to really avoid a hard collision like that and get the hell out of the way. He eats the dive bombers. I think he's more damaged and he's a softer target than I am. So the carriers are really kind of focusing on him instead of me, which, you know, is good for my life, but not good for his. So here's this St. Louis, and now we're kind of running with each other. So I'm able to get most of my guns trained on the St. Louis, and you can kind of just, you know, either non-critical hits there or over penetrations, not doing a ton of damage. But that one shot that I did put in before did 3,000 damage. So we've kind of actually done equal damage to each other so far. But the thing is this, I have a lot more health and a lot more armor than the St. Louis does. And you can see shots like that more than make up, and like that, more than make up for the rate of fire and the volume of fire that he's able to put into me. You can see I'm just taking light damage, and it's not that big of a deal. Now, looking at the team and looking at the displacement of the ships, I kind of make this turn to starboard because I want to get into B, because we're ahead on ships, and we have the more powerful ships by far. Unfortunately, they have capped us. I see these torpedoes coming in. I'm able to turn and miss them completely. And that's, again, the maneuverability of the Kongo. And that's what you want to be doing. You can see me turning right towards the island. And then I saw the torpedo bombers coming in. And I started a port turn into them to make sure that I could avoid those torpedoes. And now this St. Louis should be dead with those shots. And I'm able to pop my battleship ability, which rebuilds my health. So pretty much all the damage that he did to me in that engagement, I get to get back through that battleship ability, which puts me in a real good place. So I'm go ahead and still steaming for B. See another cruiser off the starboard bow. Unfortunately, I do have to churn into him, and again, render my aft batteries moot, because I have to make it through this little strait to get into B. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of churn heavy to starboard here. To give me enough room to turn to port and kind of make a wide churn around this headland and hopefully, you know, get my all my guns to bear on that cruiser. But it doesn't matter because he goes down before I have a chance to fire more than one salvo into him. Go ahead and dodge his torpedoes because that was what I was doing. So I was turning starboard. So the lead indicator for him on his torpedoes, you know, pointed more towards my right. And then I immediately just kind of jigged back and started turning to port. So those torpedoes missed by a very wide margin. I've got another cruiser, another St. Louis, in the B cap circle, and that's where I'm heading. So that's where he's my primary target now. Need to take him out, get into B, cap it, and make sure that we secure the win. I've seen a lot of times, you can see they've only got 3 ships left. This St. Louis and then the 2 aircraft carriers, and we still have all 4 of our battleships. So, with the advantage in vessels that we have, I definitely want to make sure that they don't win via cap points, because that would just be embarrassing. So now my secondaries open up, and he gets hit by a salvo from the other battleship. He gets hit by a spread of torpedoes from our torpedo bombers. That St. Louis had a bad day. He goes down. So now it's just down to their 2 aircraft carriers, but they still have 2 points. So I still need to go into B. And here's another thing. This doesn't apply just to battleships. This applies to all vessels. If you have the advantage on the water, but you don't have the advantage in cap points, for the love of God, please cap out before you go hunting down the last remaining ships. Because if I was to swing out of B here and just start chasing down that cruiser, or that carrier, rather, they have a pretty good chance of, you know, not anymore because we're capping C, but, you know, just better be safe than sorry. You want to cap out. And here, looking off to the port, you can see we're finally going to lose a battleship. He goes down to that torpedo bomber squadron. But to get back to the original point, please cap before you go chasing the last few vessels on the enemy team. I know you might not want to win by cap, you want to win by killing them all. But if they have more cap points, please rectify that situation before going all bloodthirsty. So the only things left are aircraft carriers, so I've loaded the HE just to, you know, catch them on fire, do more damage. They're very lightly armored. The AP is probably just going to go right through them and not do that much damage. So loading the HE, trying to get some more damage done. And we've got all 3 cap points now, so we're for sure going to cap out and win the game. So just general tactics in battleships. stay behind your cruisers and destroyers. Stay in the back. Use your range. Don't go charging through things and narrow areas unless you know it's clear. Unless, you know, you've got a ship in front of you. Like, I had that cruiser in front of me to make sure there wasn't a nasty destroyer waiting for me around that corner. Engage the battleships first. Shoot AP at the enemy battleships when you're at close enough range to really, you know, be consistently hitting the critical points, be hitting the citadels. Once the battleships are taken care of, go ahead and switch over to enemy cruisers. Once the cruisers are taken care of, switch over to enemy destroyers. And then shoot at aircraft carriers once there's no other surface vessels left to shoot. Make sure you're using your speed and your maneuverability to avoid torpedoes. If you see a torpedo squadron coming in towards you, turn your bow into the torpedo squadron. Give them a narrow profile to launch their torpedoes at. So if you go ahead and take a look, you can see that our battleships did work. All 4 battleships were at the top of the list. So really, that's the power. That's the power of a lot of people think battleships, not the greatest. But if you're able to last the match out and get lots and lots of fire off from those big guns, you will just take out everything on the enemy team. So you can see the AP and HE damage done. Also some pretty good damage done from the secondaries on that battleship on battleship engagement in the beginning. And that's going to be it for this video. Hope it helped, and I will see you next time.